Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 13, Racializing Arabs and Muslims. The readings for this week are essays 4 and 10 from the textbook. The reading talks about the idea of Islamophobia and the impact that it has on Muslim Americans. And the reading defines Islamophobia as an unfounded fear of Islam and demonstrates how religion has acquired a racial meaning, especially after the events of 9/11 in 2001. And you can see this evident in experiences of discrimination, such as the experience of flying while Muslim that the reading opened up with. And you can see that depicted in this cartoon here, where you see checking in for first class and economy class looks a particular way, and what it looks like if you're Muslim American and you're checking into an airport, particularly right after the events of 9/11. Some of these events or experiences of flying while Muslim include being kicked out of flights or airports, because of fear felt by either flight attendants or other passengers. The reading talks about the core of racism to look at how the elements that are attached to racism and the elements that are attached to how Muslims are experiencing discrimination demonstrate that religion in this case is racialized. So the core of racism, according to the reading, includes ideologies in which humans are divided into different races based on specific characteristics derived from culture, physical appearance, or both. There's a process of racialization where historical power relationships in which certain groups are racialized, meaning that certain characteristics are considered as innate or natural to these groups. And of course, there are racist practices, forms of discrimination ranging from denial of access to material resources to genocide. The process of racialization is discussed in the readings as the extension of racial meaning to a previously racially unclassified relationship, social practice, or group, and discusses how this extends to also include racial meaning to other attributes, such as clothing, language, and religious characteristics. And we saw this in terms of language when we talked a few weeks ago about Spanish and how Spanish serves as a marker of racial difference for many Latino populations. So in terms of how religion is racialized, you see that religion has been perceived as a cultural characteristic, characteristics used as inherent, as judged based on cultural traits such as language, clothing, and religious practices apply to religion, particularly to Muslims, because there's certain traits that are characterized when a person is speaking in Arabic, the particular clothing, such as the hijab that Muslims wear, and particular religious practices that are perceived as inherent and judged in a particular kind of way. Muslims, therefore, are racialized based on their religious characteristics, which are considered innate and therefore experience racism as a result. The second essay in the reading talked about myths about Muslims. Two key myths are that there's only one kind, I'm sorry, that was a typo there, one kind of Islam, not island, and one kind of Muslim, violent and anti-democratic. And you can see that depicted in the image here of all the different kinds of ways, violent and anti-democratic kinds of images attached to Muslims. Another myth is that being Muslim is the most important identity for Muslim Americans. The realities about Muslim Americans are quite different. Muslim Americans are ethnically and racially diverse. They're not all from the Middle East. Diversity in religious practice, some are devout, some are religiously moderate, and some are non-practicing, the same way that you find among Christians and Jews. Religious beliefs don't necessarily influence their political attitudes and behaviors, something also that is seen among other religious groups in the United States. They're about as religious as other Americans are. For example, the reading stated that 69% say religion is very important to them, meaning Muslim Americans, versus 70% of Christians believe in the United States that religion is very important to them. So it's very comparable how religion is important to people in the United States between people who are Muslim or Christians. And the link there takes you to a video where different Muslim Americans talk about how they experienced being treated differently and the pressures that they felt right after 9/11. And what you'll see in the clip is the variety of Muslim Americans, how diverse the population is as represented in that particular clip. And as you see here in this particular image, where you see this young woman who is holding a sign saying, "I am an American Muslim," right? To really denote and emphasize that she is American, right? She just happens to be Muslim as well. So this ends the lecture for this week. There's a discussion post assignment for this week that asks you to reflect and think about how Muslim Americans are racialized and how your own experience with religion and identity with religion compares to what we learn in the readings. I'll see you guys next week.